issue. To brief about him, I should say, Pandeyji is mostly a product of from Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, because he spent a lot of his time in Dehradun, I heard. He did his bachelor degree in biology at Chhattisgarh, that is VYT PG College. Thereafter, he completed his post-graduation in the same college in plant pathology. He obtained his PhD on bamboo tissue culture from Forest Research Institute in the year 2004 to 2007. He is a life member of Indian Congress and also a life member of Indian Botanical Society. He has skills in technology extension, research and documentation, curriculum development and delivery, tissue culture of forest species, including nursery, plantation technology, etc. His specialization is in bamboo tissue culture, nursery and plantation, value addition technology, training and development livelihoods, and impact assessment. At present, he is the managing director of Siddhidah Farm Services from Assam. He has worked as program manager in Tripura Bamboo Machine from 2012 to 2014. He was a consultant to National Center for Design and Product Development, New Delhi, in the year 2010 to 2012. He worked as senior research fellow, and junior research fellow at Forest Research Institute, mostly concentrating on bamboo sector. He has at his credit many reports, publications of research papers, chapters in edited books, conference papers, 3 books written by him on bamboo. Today, he will deliver his topic on bamboo farming, that is things to know before you invest. I, on behalf of Bamboo Society of India and you all, wholeheartedly welcome him and request him to address us on the above subject, because I cannot elaborate more because of the time constraints. So Dr. Pandeyji, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I would just like to share with the audience that this particular topic, I was looking for a platform to share where more people can understand and listen. And recently, last 3-4 years, there has been a lot of push through various marketeers and nurseries overtly focused on marketing their planting materials and selling certain dreams which may or may not come, despite bamboo being a super crop. There are chances that if decisions are wrong, if the premise on which those decisions are taken are wrong, the results are not going to be fruitful. So I think, sir, if the screen can be shared.
Sure.
Just a minute, please.
So basically, I would like to group my presentation slides into 3 groups. The first point that I want to highlight is how these marketeers are convincing people to grow bamboo, and without focusing on whether the decisions that the grower is going to make are based on reasonable knowledge inputs or just an innovation of the mind of trial and error methods. The second part I would like to discuss that the person who is expecting to take up bamboo plantation, whether he knows who he is and what is his ultimate goal while choosing to plant bamboo. You can take the next slide, please. Yeah, so here I'll just repeat again. See, most often what happens, the decision to plant bamboo or not to plant bamboo or to plant something else is a farmer's sole decision based on what he plans for his future and the future of his family. And however, the decision is influenced by the environment, government policies, the support mechanisms, the buyers, the marketeers, everybody influences the decision of the farmer, whether to go and plant bamboo, which bamboo to plant, what methods to plant, what system to adopt. But normally, because the farmer is overtly convinced by the outsider and very, very less mobilized from within, so he is at a risk of taking a wrong decision and ending up wasting his precious land and time, apart from the capital required to raise the plantation. So the second part of the presentation would focus on who you are, means the grower or the investor. If he knows who he is, he would be able to understand his needs and constraints and decide based upon them a suitable plantation model, which could be defined to a greater detail, resulting in a consistent return. Now, based on the type of farmer, the suggestions I would like to put up with the last, say for a farmer who is a subsistence farmer, wants bamboo to be grown for his own needs, or a farmer planning to have an enterprise based on bamboo plantation. And finally, we'd like to take up some questions and answers. So when a marketeer, please note down, my language is from the perspective of the marketeer and tries to convince a grower, please plant bamboo. This is going to change your world. And that is the time when a lot of problems arise, because a farmer or a grower is a soft target with less information. Many of the times, even the investor farmers have not felt bamboo in their own hand, not aware of where to sell and what dimensions would be required, what properties will be required for different industries, apart from the biomass, of course. So when a marketeer goes, he asks the grower and says, see, it's a very fast growing species. It has multiple applications. So somebody is bound to buy it, and it can give excellent results from 1 lakh to 5 lakh per acre. There is government subsidy available under NBM. Some people even brand their bamboos as super bamboos, like somebody selling Bambusa bamboos in MP. One person in Maharashtra was selling Mozo kind of a name, and it all came through our notice through social media. And there are many others claiming to import Chinese hybrids into India and selling. So being in the sector and closely monitoring the things, seeing the things, we have seen that not such species or genetically modified species or super bamboos have been created as yet. Future may definitely offer someone. But the basic question that the buyer needs to be, or the grower needs to be aware of is there awareness about nearest market, the quantum of demand, the quality under demand, and the price on offer. So these things are hazy daisy, and this is where most of the people end up getting into the trap of planting bamboo, where they have to wait 5 to 7 years to get what actually they got from it. Not only this, after explaining the rapid growth and the multiple applications, they end up getting into a problem where the grower is not convinced, actually, how can we get 100 metric tons per hectare or 50 metric tons per acre, even though bamboo is very much capable of doing this. So making that additional effort, they try to convince them to go for densities of plantation which are very, very high, sometimes even 4 to 10 times higher than the conventional recommended, which is not a scientific assessment. See, high density plantation is very successfully adopted in many crops, and generally one can, high density means 2 to 2.5 times of the conventional density is recommended. Especially when the end product is going to be round bamboo pole of 30 to 50 feet, one has to be very careful about the spacing and about the end use, based on which the number of culms standing at any point of time in a unit area will be more if we want mature bamboo. The basic premise of high density promotion was productivity enhancement. Even that data, people, some reports in Tripura I have seen saying that India bamboo productivity is very low, 1.5 tons per hectare, which is actually beyond imagination, because even any standalone clump not harvested for 5 or 6 years will simply give you anywhere between 500 kgs to 700 kgs if it is high density material or a material diameter, something like a 4-inch bulb with 100 columns standing and average weight of 45 to 50 kg is a 500 kgs crop in itself, a single clump. But that doesn't mean that if we plant 800 to 2000 clumps in a particular hectare or acre, and we are going to get the same returns, because plantation geometry seriously efforts the dimensions of the bamboo that are going to come out. But the novice farmer who has never felt the bamboo by hand often gets into this kind of a problem. Planting materials selling at 20 rupees to 600 per plant. Actually, the plantation not being a business, the nursery itself have become a business in this time of promoted bamboo promotion, where the government is supporting and people are sort of willing to experiment, go with the sustainable material, having potentially numerous uses, but practically very less buyers of superior material. Another challenge that the new grower is presented with is unauthenticated, uncertified superior clones, which often end up being Bambusa bamboos or maybe some species which are genuinely regular species, but have never been tested agronomically in different zones of the country. So even though one clone or one germplasm performing better geographic climate doesn't necessarily perform the same way in the another. The next point, can we take the next slide? Hello. Yeah, this one I have already discussed. I would like to move to next one. Plantation technology. Now, even if the grower is not convinced with that limit, then there are two brands and breeds of marketeers. One says, hey, it's a boo, just plant and everything is done. No cost involved. Get some reasonable quality of plant, plant it and forget it, and you are going to get reasonable amount of yield. The another is the German and Israeli technology, precision farming, which our farmers are not able to afford, especially the subsistence farmers, not even able to afford for horticultural crops, and which are supposed to be at least 5 to 10 times more remunerative compared to a silvicultural crop like bamboo. Now, what they definitely ignore in their estimates and cost calculations is maintenance of the crop and harvest method involved in high density, moderate density, and low density plantations. And that this is where the farmer is not able to gauge the kind of effort he will be requiring during the large part of his relationship with the bamboo plantation as compared to what he is supposed to do in the first year of the plantation, where he is asked to do the land development, arrange for the fences and borders and pits and irrigations and drip irrigations, sprinklers or whatever. So early part, which involves a lot of buying from the market, is taken care of very well. But the latter part of the plantation, where the relationship of the grower and the crop moves on dynamically with the market and with the family labor, is not taken care of. Sometimes people find certain growers or farmers, the marketeers find them, they see that this guy is a subsistence farmer, and if he goes for bamboo, then he will have to wait for 5 to 7 years, and maybe he doesn't convincing, so we offer him a offer of intercropping. See, going for bamboo plantation means majority of the farmers, whether they're from the subsistence farmer group or entrepreneurial or investors or maybe some existing big industries, their main reason for getting into this material is a reasonably headache-free farming where they can harvest regularly and protect their land, at the same time have regular income. Had been able to have intercropping of horticultural crops, they would have done pure horticultural crops of exotic nature with all the precision Israeli and German technology, and they would be exporting from here to other countries and fighting with the products from Israel into some other competing nations. But one thing, another which is relevant with the intercropping is, we all are farmers, we are into the farm, we are all creative creatures, and our individual liberty and freedom allows us to do whatever experiment we do. But the problem arises when our little experiments on an acre of plot are being communicated in this IT era to wide range of public across economic capacities and geographical barriers and the different states. Monocot is never right companion crop in mixture. Many are promoting that. A tree species which is very slow growing, being incorporated into agroforestry with bamboo, which is very fast growing and covering the tree. And many examples exist for similar scenario. However, there are many intelligent ones, like one recently circulated on social media, was the poultry farm in a bamboo plantation in Arunachal, where they both complement each other. So there are many such combinations definitely possible, and the ingenious nature of Indian people will develop many more positive intercropping models, and God permitting and time being and government support, these models will definitely reach the community and for the benefit. But at the time when this rapid surge of bamboo plantations without much work on germplasm improvement and availability of superior clones, there is every risk of people, farmers getting into the wrong cycle because they are not aware of what their actual needs are. Next, please. Next slide, please. Another way to convince the grower is, say, 3 to 4 years the time they can harvest the bamboo. Actually, data in literature and physical on-ground observation says that irrespective of what your starting material is, the fastest performing starting material, a rhizome, even that takes 4 to 5 years to achieve its full. So, until the biological potential of the species is achieved, a particular pole can be called a harvest only if the market is willing to accept it in the market at a reasonable price. And the market wants 2 to 3 years maturity. Now, taking the diameter reaching age 4 and maturity 2 to 3 years, 6th to 7th year is what one would be able to harvest. But in their search of selling their materials, there are many people across the country, right from Himachal and Punjab to Northeast, everywhere. You will see people getting into a system where and the growers are convinced that your plantation is ready for harvest in 4th year. Is it possible? To my assessment, working in most of the northeastern regions, some plots in UP, and some physical experiences in Bengal, I would say, and obviously some reports coming from Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra as well. One plantation in Rajamundi, a rich grower with nearly 50 acres of plantation and good investment. Even after 5 years, he was definitely harvesting a bamboo. His average, the Rajamundi farmer had an average length of the bamboo as 22 to 25 feet. Commercial length was 18 to 20 feet. And average weight was such like 10 to 12 kgs. So I will refrain from the species and other things, but the point is that there is no consistency in terms of the growth performance achieved However, there is a history of traditional forestry where individuals, standalone crops, as well as conventional spacing plantations do exist. And in those plantations, and in the plantations that I have seen and executed during my professional time, we have seen 4th to 5th year, especially in cases of bamboos, where the diameter is medium, not the low diameter bamboos, I'm calling for medium, large diameter bamboos. There, your diameter achieving age comes to around 4 to 5 years, and harvesting is around 6 to 7 years. Now, why would farmer wait for such a long gestation is the question. He has nothing to lose. Farmer has nothing to lose if he is not a subsistence farmer. Obviously, if he is a subsistence farmer, he has his livelihood to lose. His livelihood is at stake because a farmer's income is periodic. Every 3rd, 4th month he is earning. And that's how his family works. But all the other categories of farmer, the institutional ones, the industry, the investor farmers, the entrepreneur farmers, they all can wait because such a long gestation is going to reward them with very, very good profile of bamboo in terms of maturity and diameter, and larger return with lesser investments in terms of planting material, labor consumed, and other parameters of investment. Regarding the yield as well, the marketeers leave no stone unturned. Their assumptions are varying for varying consumers in varying states. Sometimes somebody is going to assume that you can harvest 3 poles every year from the 4th year. Somebody will be saying you can harvest 5, some 10. There is no basic. What is the basis of that? That they never explain to them. They simply say, hey, go around your neighborhood. You will see any bamboo clump and you can see 10, 15 poles coming every season, every year. So that means you can easily make 3, 5, 10 poles. But is that performance in terms of number of poles or tillering going to translate into weight, profile, or money? That is the question. And if this particular thing is to be taken care of, the plantation models, if designed well, can justify actually the number of poles that come out of the clump is based on the basal area of the rhizome as well as the active growing points in that particular rhizome crown. And if that is there, along with the other cultural methods like mounding or fertigation and nutrition requirement and the seasonal influence, then one can easily achieve not only 10, even 25, 30, and 35 poles in a clump, which is very much feasible, but don't expect all that to happen in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th year, because that would require a different plantation model that is based for different other investor kind of growers, not for the subsistence farmer. Weight per pole, even in some species like Tulda or Balkua, or for the matter, the next popular one nowadays is Brandisai, and somebody from Maharashtra putting through Jagensius, and all those large bamboos is too variable to confuse a grower. Regarding the yield, what I can say is very, very, very achievable, even under normal circumstances. Not only achievable, going by my harvesting experience of 5 to 7 years, more than 2 lakh bamboo poles of Balkoa I have harvested. And I can simply say that every clump in itself is potential 5 kgs if planted of high density. For high density, there are specific purposes, specific designs, and specific end uses which can afford that much economics. Next, please. The type of harvest is another question which is not at all never communicated to the grower, and mostly in the high density model, people push through the destructive harvest method without changing I repeat, without changing tenure or life of the plantation. Whether it is sugarcane in terms of similar, or whether it is a tip where copy C is recommended for sometimes 3 years, but okay, to poverty or some reasons, farmers prefer will repeat in bamboo, and that is where one needs to himself. Selective harvest is the best thing possible, but is nearly impossible in high density plantation, let alone very high density plantation. High density is hard times of the conventional densities and not something 10 times of the conventional density. How does it affect economic gains? Selective harvest, the quality is superior, maturity is under control, returns are expected to be greater. Destructive harvest, a mix of crops, sorting expenses additional. You can only do is chipping, biomass purpose. The prices are minimum. Volumes are higher in terms of market availability. But as a grower, you can produce only a limited volume. So your returns are defined there. So be very, very careful of how you plant your bamboos, for whom you are planting the bamboos, and that will help you define how much to accept from the marketeer and where to question him to make a justified serious decisions and not to regret later. The frequency of harvest is again a question. Those recommending destructive harvest are going for annual harvest and every alternate year harvest, which is again, even if you do, cannot give you back 100 tons per hectare or 50 tons per acre. Because we are growing bamboo for the timber or the pole, not for the leaves. The profile of the pole has to be of a commercial size. And when you go, the best prices being bamboo, there are so many specifications to be taken care of. And that is the point where one has to focus on the frequency of harvest as well. Well, for selective harvest, you can always harvest as per your requirement or buyer's demand with certain cautions in your mind according to the geometry of your plantation and not indiscriminately selecting the bamboos so as to maintain your plantation geometry. You will be in a winning side, or the grower would be on the winning side. But this is one particular point. The marketeer would like you tell you can harvest every year 5 to 10 bamboos every year, because his intention is to sell you a plantation budget of anywhere 1 lakh rupees per hectare. Whereas the grower, if he is aware enough, can manage the same plantation in 50,000 to 1,50,000 as well for the conventional densities. For higher densities, maybe up to 2.5 lakhs for a 1 hectare plot. How our frequency of harvest affects our price realization, how it affects productivity per hectare, how it affects the health of plantation and its management. Those things depends on us. And these are the questions which can be answered only once the farmer has decided, this is what I am going to do, this is what I am going to do, this is what I am going to grow for this particular industry, person, or my own use. Then he is in a best position to take an informed decision. Next, please. Cost of harvest and maintenance is another point where I have witnessed very generalistic assumptions while calculating the economics. Prices of 2 to 5 rupees in harvest in various economics available on the internet as well as on certain webinars. But my concern is, in the whole experience of harvesting bamboo, I have not seen a harvesting price less than 5 rupees in less than 2 rupees in small diameter bamboos, 1.5-inch diameter bamboos. That is only delivering and bundling and removing out to the road takes it to approximately 5 rupees in most cases, leaving alone 5 to 10% of the trade material, which is very, very, very different commodity and should not be confused with the general bamboo being promoted all across the country. Species like Pulda, 10 to 15 rupees, Balcoa, 15 to 25 rupees per pole is being charged. And even if we are able to award contracts and all those and go through the forest contracts, which departments do award, you won't find less than 10 rupees for the harvest. But as I told you, because the investment cost has been inflated to a level where the cost of plantation has to be reduced to improve the profitability to the grower, the tactics being employed by the marketeers, and at least 2 to 3 agencies in North India and a couple of industry agencies in central and southern India have been focusing on these particular dimensions, which should be taken very, very carefully by the investor. And obviously bamboo as a crop has so much to offer, but for someone who doesn't know how to take an informed decision, what should be right cost of harvest? That I have just informed you. An average cost of harvest while working out the economics, depending on the weight, you can easily keep it somewhere around 0.6 60 paisa per kg, 60 paisa per kg, to take it around for your convenience. How to arrive at a reasonable wage for the harvester? The same thing, 0.6 rupee per kg would be a good number to keep the harvesters involved, account for the terrain and the difficulties, because bamboo plantations are not going to be few square feet. Wherever they are, they will be acres and hectares, and moving the bamboo out will require certain infrastructure, or if it is manual, will involve actual recurring costs every year. Now, the life of plantation is again a lucrative aspect. See, there are certain bamboo species which don't flower, which have no record of flowering. Even then, it is going to be destructive harvest. The highest trees. Then, in due course of out the produce, farmer realizes the yield is going down due to destructive harvest. The life will be 100 years. Mostly, if somebody asks me how harvesting can influence life of plantation, a properly maintained plantation with selective harvest, irrespective of the Indian species, most of the Indian species have 15-year plus span, and with known life of flowering time, 0 age, one can expect 50 years safe. Yes, theoretically and practically, bamboo plantations can take you to a life of around 40 years. But that doesn't mean every plantation model, every plantation species, or without the knowledge of 0 age, not knowing the method or the planting material which one has achieved, would be giving you that yield. Is it anyway necessary to know how much long, or is it necessary to maintain plantation for 50, 40, 30 years? Absolutely not. The times change fast. What you require is first to harvest. Believe me, if your plantation is designed properly and you get the best of your crop, first harvest, harvest will be second harvest will be profit. Harvest till you like, and change, modify, remove, or do whatever you like to do with your plantation in the future. How bamboo flowering can influence the life? That's a very, very true question. None of the marketeer comes with a certificate I am going to guarantee you that my plant is not going to suffer for the first, second, or fourth harvest. This is a problem which farmer needs a confirmation and certification. Because this particular person is hoping for the 7th year. He is not hoping for 40 of the first 3 years. Polls to 8 years. He is going to make the money. How much life is good? That's what I have told. Anything beyond 8 years is wonder. Balle, balle, you have to lose, you enjoy your crop, and you are not able to get to 8 and 10 years. You can regret, but nothing to regret because you have already made your money. You have multiplied better than the banks. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. This is the part that previous one. Yeah, thank you. So this is one part where, to my survey and experience, almost all inquiry phones coming, I always ask them why you want to grow, for whom you are growing, because market is what you are working for as a grower. And markets today, there are very few industries, even in the Northeast, let alone the rest of the country, which consume bamboo as a main raw material. Yes, there are potential buyers and industries in the biomass category, in the graded bowls, in the plastic substitution industries or industrial handicrafts or industrial raw materials. There are industries, but their demands, requirements are very meager as of now. So basing your plantation efforts for such industries which do not exist as of now, or basing your industry for a biomass activity where you are not into agreement and not in the catchment area of that particular industry, is going to be a loser's cause. Quality influences market price irrespective. Somebody yesterday on a social media chat platform was concerned about who says who are looking for, say, quality steaks. They can work with anything which is cheap. And this is a very wrong perception. We know the bananas are going to taste the same, even if their size or skin doesn't matter much, but we choose the best one and the beautiful one. The same is with the farmer. For him, it is an investment. He sees the wall thickness. He is going to fix them himself. He sees the straightness. He sees the length. He sees the maturity, because that is going to last for him longer. And all those things are very important, assuming that the poor little farmer in a hurry for steaks for his vegetable farming would buy any good or bad material and just pay you your desired price is not always true. In retail price of your area, if retail price in your area is influencing you, your production economics, beware, be aware, be very serious. You are on a wrong direction. As a farmer, bamboo is still at a place 45 to 60% of the total value if the farmer gets. You should be very happy. It's not rubber. It's not rubber. 90-95% of the price coming to sheet because of the producers' organizations that they are existing and the sheet being circulated. Farmers realizing 87 to 90% of the price coming from the market. Bamboo is not at all at that level at this stage. It's a crop where even the grower doesn't want to cut it himself. It's a crop where grower is generally short of buyers and generally short of harvesters. It is a crop where the contractor comes and buys and sells. So be aware. Some people have often asked the price fluctuations in bamboo. This is again an interesting thing. What sells in a retail market of Guwahati at 150 rupees, the same bamboo is available in Ambala at 150 rupees. despite the transport cost of around 1500 to 2000 kilometers. Such is the bamboo market. In the last 5 years, in the trade of bamboo, there has been no change or appreciation in the prices at the end of the buy. No change in price. Growers are also not getting increased price. And this is one of the basic fundamental hurdle which will affect bamboo industrialization today, tomorrow, and day after. Because the primary industry we are focusing on is biomass, which will always push for lower price. Industrial materials are looking to substitute timber and plastic. They have a price benchmark to fight for. Only graded bamboo poles and industrial handicrafts, where one can work according to choices, offer a possibility of industries paying the grower continuously increasing prices year after year to keep them as a producer on a longer term. Next, please. Now, friends, what marketeer has told you is fine. What is important is who you are. If you can answer this question properly, you know what are your characteristics, what are your needs, what will be your constraints, and how you can overcome those constraints to pursue your love, passion, and dream with bamboo. As a subsistence farmer, one needs to appreciate his position in the economy. He already is into some cropping system, basically for a substitute crop cannot help him during a gestation solution for him. But again, bamboo plus intercropping is a short duration, 1 or 2 years, 3 to 4 years in a low income zone. My understanding is and occasional sales in local areas and goods for their needs. As simple stakes, some construction fencing, and some for the scaffolding market in the nearby town. Most often, everybody has certain population of craftsmen with selection.
We lost Dr. Pandey. Kindly be on standby. He's joining again.
Can I continue?
Pandey, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, your audio is better now.
Yes, I can hear you. So can I continue?
Yes. Can you make it short? We are running out of time right now.
Okay, sir, finishing it. So basically, subsistence farmer can focus on boundary plantation. This is a recommendation from my side. If he focuses on boundary plantation, he can use it as a windbreak. His irrigation needs will come down. He will have a raw material to sell in local markets and use it himself and develop his relationship with bamboo and grow there afterwards. The investor farmers are basically the large land holding farmers who have inability to go or low desire to go for high intensive farming and want to occupy their land and get some good returns, handsome returns with minimum. And these farmers can focus on conventional densities and long interval harvestings, and they will still make the same yields of 50 to 150 tons per acre or 100 tons per hectare kind of yields. Very good profile of bamboo poles they are going to get, and can enjoy their investment periodically with minimum fuss, minimum headache, and minimum regularity of dealing on their farmland. Exhibitional farmers are the ones who are interested in so much of knowledge and varieties and they spend a lot of time, which is not in their profit making. So basic recommendation for farmers is channelize their passion for enterprise development, the field of tourism and nursery, because that is where their love for bamboo and bamboo diversity. Next, please. Yeah, so the entrepreneurial farmers are the one who will lead this sector. They will design on products, and based on that, they will develop plantation models. The recommendations are already written in the slide. The thing is that we have a long-term vision, and we have to define systems and knowledge resources and plan as a scalable enterprise and involve community to develop them. The details one can obviously text and message me as and when they require, we can provide. Existing industries are especially the bigger ones looking for fuel substitution. This is the target industry for bio-based. If government ties up and the forest department and corporations partner with these industries, they can see more biomass cultivation on a large scale and help in some. The next institutions, which are NGOs, SHGs, panchayats, they have so many land resources and responsibility of providing bamboos or the resources to the community. So, and they have the ability to mobilize public fund. And if that panchayat institutions and similar institutions can do cultivation, they can involve people. Just running through the last few slides, I would like to bring forth our consulting agency, the Bamboo Expert, which is based in Bamboo Technology Park. Next slide, please. And this is a special project of my company, Siddhida Farm Services, where we provide services on sustainable bamboo resource management system. Next, please. Sustainable bamboo resource management system. Many things that into the sustainable bamboo resource management, client-specific solutions, state-specific, region, district-specific, industry-specific solutions, we are able to design for you. For entrepreneurs, next please, we have a program called Leap Ahead with Bamboo, where very, very focused, business-oriented plans for 1,000 to 500 years of community engagement, plan, post-management, and industry setup. We can provide you. Next, please. My Wealth is one of the program which we are already conducting in our campus at Bamboo Technology Park. Persons come to us and we provide them in small little groups individually awareness on bamboo processing, as well as what innovative products can take up from the existing processing lines. Next, please. Hands-on Bamboo is a training program. So far, we have done only 2 hands-on bamboo sessions, but they are those in the industry who trained manpower for operating bamboo machines on certain programs with bamboo. They can always approach. Thank you. The whole purpose of my company is to bring production fulfillment in farm business. So far, so little. We have been able to stick to our next place, stick to our targets, focus areas, and somehow scalability has been away from us. To bring to the notice audience, next please, we would like to highlight that industries, one in charcoal and industry making industrial grade bamboo stakes, have taken our services, one in Chhattisgarh and one in Guwahati, to bring commercialization of bamboo pace with some innovative approaches, and their results already visible Anybody looking to interact with us can contact us directly. Our WhatsApp number is 9436982074. I repeat, 9436982074. So you can also connect to us on Facebook by Siddhida or Ram Narayan Pandey. Once you search, you can link with us, or even the Bamboo Expert. If you search on Facebook, you can get connected with us, clear your queries. Thank you so much, Bamboo Society of India. I'm open to questions from your side. Hello. I finished from my side. I'm open to your questions.
Shall I propose vote of thanks now?
Yes, sir.
Any questions from anybody? Okay, I think no questions. So, Dr. Aryan Pandey ji, thank you very much for your elaborative experience talk. We, on behalf of Bamboo Society of India and everybody gathered, convey our heartfelt thanks for sparing your valuable time with us. I also would like to convey our thanks to you for having enrolled as member of Bamboo Society of India few days back. So
Yes,
be in touch with us. We may need your technical guidance in the future also. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. We move on to the next speaker. Kindly be on standby.